Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone. I'm Desvira Shabila Meghantara. Here I'm going to share the discussion about a foreign policy in Singapore which called total defense. So everyone, first let's get to know short flash of Singapore. Singapore is a small country in terms of geography and natural resources located in Southeast Asia. A country that is in the middle of neighboring country whose population is predominantly ethnic Malay and is much larger in terms of geographical size, population, and natural resources. According to the survey data from the International Research Institute Gallup's Law and Order in 2018, more than 148,000 people as respondents from 142 different countries chose Singapore as the number one safest country in the world. This condition also determines the conception of Singapore's national security and foreign policy. What is the Singapore's foreign policy? There are some fundamental principles of Singapore's foreign policy as follows. First, Singapore must always maintain a credible and deterrent military defense as the fundamental underpinning for an effective foreign policy. Second, Singapore must promote and work for good relations with our immediate neighbors in all spheres. Third, Singapore is fully committed to the Association of Southeast Asian Nations or ASEAN and support the United Nations or UN. And fourth, Singapore will work to maintain a secure and peaceful environment in and around Southeast Asia, especially the Asia-Pacific region. There are principles that are related to the main case that we will discuss. Singapore has one of the best-known foreign policies in the defense and security sector regarding the phenomenon of terrorism. Terrorism is a complex phenomenon. Its definition is very broad. Singapore views terrorism as a serious threat that can actually attack anyone, anywhere, and anytime. The first case of terrorism that appeared in Singapore was on March 10, 1965, when a bomb exploded at the McDonald's and injured 33 people. This incident was motivated by the problem of the Indonesian confrontation, where the Indonesian government strongly opposed the merger between Singapore and Malaysia in the form of Federal Malaysia. According to the phenomenon, to overcome the problem of terrorism, Singapore's Minister of Home Affairs, Wong Kan Seng, made an existence of Singapore's foreign policy with benchmarks of national security organizations. The study of terrorism has become a very interesting issue in the study of international relations. Some of the previous studies that we found were carried out by the international relations researchers, especially those conducted in Southeast Asia. Some of the researchers emphasized their research on ASEAN-Australia cooperation in dealing with terrorism. There are a total of 7 cases of terrorism in Singapore which show each motive for acts of terrorism which are intended to control various aspects. The state of Singapore has also proven its seriousness in the ADMM or ASEAN Defense Minister meeting, when that meetings which was last held in Singapore in 2018 by discussing regional security, especially the issue of humanitarian security in the case of terrorism in each country and in cases of political security at the ASEAN level. Therefore, since the emergence of act of terrorism, Singapore has focused on its foreign policy through the NCSC defense strategy and dealing with terrorism cases. Everyone, now we're gonna talk about our main topic in this discussion. Singapore issued its foreign policy in the form of a new defense strategy called Total Defense. Foreign policy with this defense strategy consists of 3 basic elements, namely prevention, protection, and response to the growing threat of terrorism. In addition, the foreign policy formed in this defense strategy has 5 interrelated dimensions in overcoming the issue of terrorism, namely the military, psychological, social, civil, and economic dimensions, which are supported by its implementation through total public and government participation. Singapore sees that this poses new threats and challenges with the emergence of transnational terrorism that can threaten the security of its country. So what does the total defense mean? Total defense is Singapore's whole of society national defense concept based on the premise that every aspect of society contributes to the collective defense of the state. The strategy was first introduced in 1984 and adopted from the national defense strategies of Sweden and Switzerland.
February 15th is Total Defense Day. On that day, Singapore fell to the Japanese invasion, and a reminder of the dreadful consequences of a weak national defense. For nearly 4 years, our people suffered under foreign occupation. This year marks the 80th anniversary of that dark chapter in Singapore's history. This year is also the 55th anniversary of national service.
In the concept of total defense, there is an organizational structure. As we can see, there is National Security Coordination Singapore or NSCS. This organization works under the guidance of the Security Policy Review Committee or SPRC. Meanwhile, the NSCS is under the office of the Prime Minister, with the task of planning national security structures, processes, and coordinating policies also emerging intelligence issues. The head of NSCS itself is held by the Permanent Secretary. The Permanent Secretary is responsible to provide direct reports to the Prime Minister regarding the formulation of defense strategy policies through the Coordinating Minister for Defense and Security. In early 2000, the NSCS was equipped with 2 organizational units to carry out tasks, namely the National Security Coordination Center or NSCC that aims to make policy by systematically gathering various information about problems and trends that arise in the political, economic, social, technological, or ecological scope of the organization. The next is JCTC. JCTC is an organization that aims to carry out intelligence activities and studies on the threat of terrorism for the benefit of making policies and actions to eradicate terrorism. On the 1st May of 2012, the Singaporean government implemented a more comprehensive defense strategy by establishing an organization, Security Research Center or NSRC, which has the task of conducting strategic and anticipatory studies on terrorism. The foreign policy that Singapore in dealing with other terrorism issues is also supported by the formation of the Intelijensi Coordinating Committee or ICC, which is tasked with conducting studies on terrorism and national security issues, as well as providing directions for strategic analysis and follow-up actions. Well, the next is about the chart of the terrorism cases in Singapore. Based on the chart above, it can be seen that terrorism in Singapore experienced a significant decline after the formation of a foreign policy in dealing with acts of terrorism through the NSCS or National Security Coordination Singapore in 1991. Singapore's total defense through the decision-making process that has been made was proven to be able to produce a real movement in preventing the presence of the development of terrorism in Singapore. The state of Singapore uses the NSCS as its defense strategy based on the theoretical basis of the decision-making process by maximizing the role of rational actors, perceptions, and organizational processes that are comprehensively applied in Singapore. This resulted in an impact on Singapore's defense, which made 17 years of the occurrence of terrorist cases in Singapore from 2001 to 2018. Well, that's all from me. Hopefully, through this video, we can increase our insight. Sorry for the lag. Thank you so much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.